One day I was riding home from practice with some of my teammates, and my friend's dad started going on about how our generation just talks so silly and just doesn't make sense with all these random words we say. And he said that technically it's not our fault since we missed a crucial part of our learning. Because normally when you're in kindergarten, you learn your colors, your shapes, your sounds. I had to stay at home instead and learn through a screen. So one day, Ms. Schulz came up to me and Chimmy and started talking about how she thinks it'd be really cool if our class wrote a book.
So me and my brother were talking about how we remember going through COVID and how we were on the screens all day. And then my little sister, who's in kindergarten now, was like, "What's COVID?" And me and my brother were really surprised that she didn't know what COVID was. So I told Ms. Schultz about what my little sister said, and me, Sloan, and Ms. Schultz made the idea of the COVID book, and we decided that each chapter would be about each kid in our class and their experience during COVID.
Because of COVID, I had to stay in the car and go around to my family's houses if they wanted to celebrate with me. Instead of coming to my house, they came outside and gave me presents there.
While we're sitting on our iPads Zooming, my mom had cute little buckets filled with snacks next to us to make it more fun. Every day we could fill them with snacks we wanted.
During home learning days every Friday, my mom would have a theme for each day, like Wacky Hair Day. My brother put Lego characters in his hair. Another day was Pajama Day, but that day was basically every day already.
My parents both got COVID, so my brother and I went to my aunt's house for a few days. Then, when we got back, my brother got COVID too. When we couldn't play together, so we played Battleship, me on the outside of his bedroom door and him on the inside of his room. It was fun, even though he was sick.
And I changed because of COVID. I'm like a banana. I know that sounds weird, but hear me out. On the outside, I might look inedible and hard to talk to, but on the inside, I'm kind and fun and will do a lot for my friends.
My days were different during COVID. I was learning online all by myself. I didn't have any friends by my side. I remember when I didn't understand something, I would go in my room, stuff my head in my pillow, and feel my eyes tear up. My little body didn't know what was going on, and it was so confusing. But luckily, my parents were there to help me get through those rough moments. They would come in my room, pat me on my back, and help me calm down.
I spent a lot of time playing basketball in my garage. So now, when I think about my future, I want to be a professional basketball player when I grow up. Times when I failed at things like new math ideas, I've learned from them and done better the next time. As my coach says, failure is the key to success.
One of the things I remember most is playing with my brother, who is a year younger than me, outside. We would draw huge cities with chalk on the driveway. We would make buildings, roads, shops, rivers, bridges. Some of them looked pretty good. We would show them off to our parents, who were usually pretty impressed. Even when some of them looked more like blobs of chalk, they would still act like they were impressed.
COVID made me grow. It was a different path than most people have been on. I've grown up from these experiences. It's made me stronger. I realized that if I don't try, I won't get anywhere in life. As Robert Frost said, 2 roads diverged in the wood, and I took the path less traveled by, and it has made all the difference.
During the lockdown, I wasn't able to see my friends, and I had to stay 6 feet away from my family. It felt really weird. I couldn't hang out with my friends like I usually did, and it was hard because I couldn't talk to them about stuff. School was online. I was able to be with my stuffed animals while I worked. I wasn't able to really connect with my teacher, so I had a hard time learning all year.
When I was little, I was always hiding. One day, I was in my bed and woke up. My mom told me there was something called COVID-19. I wondered what was that, so I asked my brother. He told me as the sickness was spreading. I actually got sick with COVID 2 times.
Now, I don't give up on my work, even when things get hard. I push through it. I've learned to persevere when times get tough.
COVID-19 affected me in many ways. One of the biggest things is that I never really learned how to write well, so my handwriting still isn't the best. What I remember the most is that my best friends played outside every day. I could watch them from the window. They had a playground in their backyard and would often play there. When I went outside, they were still there. They asked me to play, but I always said I can't. I couldn't go with them because of COVID.
I think COVID really affected me with math. I love math because I'm logical and math has rules, and so did life during COVID.
Math made sense when nothing else did.
2 months after COVID started, my grandma passed away, though I didn't find out until 4 months after that. I was so sad and I didn't understand what was happening. Then, bam, I was transformed into a robot. I had a strict routine that I followed every day. Eat, learn, sleep, repeat. That was all I did. All I was allowed to do anyway. The usual Friday night rush and Sunday night dread were gone. Weekends didn't feel like weekends anymore. The one thing that I did learn was nothing is impossible.
When I first heard about COVID-19, I thought it was a cockroach invasion. Ha, boy was I wrong. For 30 minutes, I stood on my bed with bug repellent like I was about to go in war, until my sister lured me out with cookies. When cookies are involved, I'm always in. I learned a lot during COVID, and those 2 years of my life I don't think I'll ever be able to forget. But as they always say, grow through what you go through.
School is mostly online, which got boring. In fact, I usually did class in my bed. I'm not even kidding. My schedule every day looked like this. 6:30 to 7:30, getting ready and logging in. 7:30 to 10:30, work time and classes online. 10:30 to 11, lunch. I usually had a PB&J sandwich. 11 to 2 p.m., more online classes. 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., Code Spark, an app for coding. I really liked how it explained the concept of technology in a fun way, and I got pretty good at it. 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., drawing time. I like to draw cities. 5 p.m. to 5:30, snacks. 5:30 to 6 p.m., watch TV. 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., dinner. I was the first one to eat, then my parents would eat, then my brother. 7 p.m. to 6:30 a.m., sleep.
As Naichi said long ago, and they still sing today, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. This next one is by Shakespeare. For so it falls out that what we have we prize not to the worth whiles we enjoy it, but being lacked and lost, why then we rack the value, then we find that possession would not show us while it was ours.
Every year, we went to the state fair for my brother's birthday. When COVID hit, we weren't allowed to go into the fair. Instead, they made a drive-through fair where you could stop by all the state fair foods and never get out of the car. So we drove by in a long parade and got cookie dough on a stick, roasted sweet corn, powdered sugar funnel cake, cheese curds, sweet Martha cookies, and mini donuts.
When I was at home, I worked independently. I loved writing a lot. That's why I wanted to be an author when I grew up. When I felt lonely or isolated, I could write all the time. I started doodling and drawing. I began writing comics. Writing my comics made me feel happy. Even wrote a book that was 17 pages long. I named my characters after my real and imaginary friends. My friend also wrote comic books and mailed his to me. His book was called Survival. I have his book now.
So you guys, as we're thinking about writing this book together as a whole class, as 29 voices, what have you learned from this experience? We wrote a book, but really the real story is what you've learned about yourselves, what you've learned about your strengths, what you've learned just in general.
I think one of my strengths is I'm more like people smart because I spent like 3 years without being able to talk to anybody, and I just kind of learned throughout this, like I work better in groups and I work better with like other people helping and suggesting ideas.
That I'm able to problem solve a lot better than I used to be. Like it's helped me learn, like I've exposed myself, and I feel like everyone has taken it really well and they've all exposed themselves, and we're doing all really good as a class.
I remember during COVID it was really hard because like I couldn't like be with the teacher and like talk to the teacher as much as I normally do, and it was hard like to see everything and understand everything because we were just all so little.
I used to think that COVID was just this awful apocalypse that happened, but really this kind of helped me be grateful for things because loved going to school, and I was like, I'm gonna be able to go to school forever, and then COVID shut things down, and I'm like, what do I do now?
When we had COVID, we were mostly only thinking about what happened to us. This book definitely helped learning about other people's perspective about COVID and what happened to them, what did they learn about themselves.
So you didn't just learn about yourself, you learned about others and what they went through and why they are who they are today. Yeah, we have a much deeper understanding of each other, don't we?